good, y'all? John here. I know it's been a hot minute since we've uploaded anything that's not the podcast or the streams or a short, but I've been wanting to do more video content, and since we don't have an episode of Ringside up this week, I figured now is as good a time as ever to just jump right into it. In a nutshell, I'm just going to give my personal thoughts, just me, just my thoughts, just me, okay? Don't get it twisted. Don't get upset. It's just my thoughts on all the various things I've watched in the last week. And if you agree, amazing. If you don't, that's cool too. I would love to hear your thoughts. Put them in the comment section below. All I ask is that you keep things civil and you keep things respectful, even if you disagree. All right? It's all love here. Now, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. All right, let's get started. Let's start with The Acolyte. Now, I thought episode 6, Teach/Corrupt, was a fantastic change of pace from the buck wild and sometimes very brutal episode 5. Now, with this episode, we took a little bit of time to dive a bit deeper with some of the characters, namely with Chimere and, of course, with Osha, May, and Soul. Now, the only complaint I have with this episode thus far is that scene with Manny Jacinto and his shirt off. And it's because I was watching it with my girlfriend. Nah, I'm just playing. I mean, he's in great shape. And actually, I think it's fascinating how Chimere speaks about emotions in this episode, right? He specifically names anger, fear, loss, and desire. And I think what a brilliant way to play on all the senses and all the emotions that the Jedi forsake. And it would make sense that a villain like this that we've never seen would use all of those things as tools, as weapons even, especially when he's trying to recruit someone, when he sees a little bit of something in there that maybe, again, he's looking for a pupil. So anyway, I think it was a fascinating choice. And I think my favorite thing about this episode is the dueling perspectives we get. So especially with the title of the episode being Teach Corrupt, because we see these basically differing perspectives on what the Jedi are doing and what Chimere is doing. Depending on which side you look at it from, Soul's or Chimere's, either one of them could be teaching or corrupting. And I think that's so cool the way they really show us that in the episode. But also, Vernestra, homegirl Vern, what have you done and what are you up to? Okay, because it's a little sneak, and I don't like it. Let's switch gears a little bit and talk about The Boys. Season 4 has been incredible. I don't care what anyone says. This show don't miss. Now, episode 6, Dirty Business, was a lot. Don't get me wrong. I thought this episode was a really good fucking episode. But I mean, goddamn. And Homelander, for being one of the most vile villains on TV right now, also still has one of the most interesting and captivating storylines of this season. We continue to see his struggle with wanting to feel admired and just loved. A few episodes, we saw what he kind of considered to be a cathartic way of dealing with it. But I'm starting to get the sense that maybe that didn't help. And especially with Sage being effectively dumbed down for this episode, the way Anthony Starr just captures his feeling of just frustrated to tears, especially in that scene where he and Victoria Newman are talking to all those politicians. Man, just masterful work. Yeah, he captured those, like, I just keep going back to this phrase, just frustrated tears just so perfectly. Then to find a motherly sort of love with Firecracker, it just makes for a really, like, twisted sense of bliss for the Omega level soup. Speaking of Firecracker, who is very much a villain in this show, make no mistake, and played scarily and brilliantly by Valerie Curry, I really like this twist in her story. Because how do you outsmart the smartest person alive? With a little motherly love. Yeah, I'm sorry I said that too. Speaking of mother's milk, yeah, that one was worse. I'm really digging how the show is using MM's struggle with OCD as something that is actually an obstacle to him, as something that is raising the stakes for who he is as a person, rather than just using it as for comedic effect, you know? Although they still use it as comedic effect. And in this episode with the whole spiderweb thing. I mean, it was still pretty funny. Huey. My poor, sweet Huey. Huey is just having such a rough go of it this season. Like, there are very few characters that I just want to reach through the screen and just give him a big old bear hug and just tell him it's okay. Things are going to be okay. Things will get better. Like, I just want him to be okay. Bendito. Poor guy. Poor bastard. Like I said this on TikTok, I just want for him to have that ending from The Dark Knight Rises, for him and Starlight to just be at a cafe and, like, just get away from everything and everyone and just live happily ever after. Because, my God, this guy's just been through so much. And especially after this episode where he endured literal torture, no matter how humorous it was at times, literal torture. By the end of it all, by the end of the episode, to hear him finally just come out and say, I'm not okay, because he was just trying to throw himself into his work, to hear him say, I'm not okay, and start sobbing, like, that's gut-wrenching. Butcher's thoughts kind of manifesting as people from his past, I figured that's what he was doing. Well, that's what was happening with Becca. But to see fucking Jeffrey Dean Morgan also just be not real, just a figment of his imagination, that was crazy. I was not expecting that. And I'm very curious to see what that means for Butcher going into the final episodes of the season. Finally, in what is one of my favorite performances of the series, one of my favorite characters of the series, Kimiko, played by Karen Fukuhara. Just what a heartbreaking performance. This whole episode was just like playing tug of war with my heart. Like, at times it was funny, at times it was just really dig the knife in, you know? So after Frenchie turned himself in the episode before this, Kimiko, who's upset that they couldn't even talk about it first, is trying to visit him. He's refusing visitation rights, and throughout the episode we see her try a couple times to go see him, and by the end the officer working is like, hey, I'm sorry, I just don't think he wants to see you. And she writes down the most brutal line, because of course she can't speak. She says, I have nowhere else to go, and the camera just goes on her shedding tears. Are you fucking kidding me? That is so fucking sad. And she does it so well. Like, for someone to not speak, they're just purely acting through physicality, through their face. That's amazing work. And I mean, it really drives the point home. She's my favorite character because of that. I mean, as an actor, I just think of just how goddamn impressive that is. And I'm saying it now, nothing better happened to A-Train. He's growing on me, which makes me think that the show is going to do something to him. I don't want it to happen. It better not happen. Don't do it. Eric, I'm talking to you, son. And finally, let's talk a little WWE. We had a big weekend for WWE, watching both Money in the Bank and NXT HEATWAVE. So let's talk about it. Money in the Bank was a great show. I'm going to say that again for you. Money in the Bank was a great show. And before you type up your dissertation, yes, I noticed those botches. Look, it happens. Like Triple H said, they're human. You gotta love live theater. I always say, professional wrestling is my favorite form of live theater. And listen, sometimes these things happen. Sometimes the mic goes out. Okay, the same thing. Sometimes kickouts don't happen. Music doesn't hit on time. All right, so it happens. These folks are professionals. Let them do their thing. Anyway, I thought the men's ladder match was fantastic. Such a fun match. A little shorter than I thought it was going to be, but that's okay. Shout outs to Andrade and Mello for doing some crazy shit. My favorite moment of this match is Drew McIntyre just chucking a fucking whole ass ladder at Jey Uso's face when he's at the top of the ladder. I don't know why. That's so goddamn funny to me, and it's just the right level of unhinged I needed to see from McIntyre in this match. And I think McIntyre winning the briefcase was absolutely the right choice. More on that later. Sami Zayn versus Braun Breaker was a dope ass match, and I mean, I figured Sami Zayn was going to win, but I thought they had a really great match. And I think Braun Breaker, my God, what a talent. And like, he's going to have such a dominant career ahead of him. I don't think Braun Breaker has had very many PLEs on the main roster, so I mean, I don't think it's anything to freak out about. They're not burying him. They're not ending his career early or whatever it is y'all want to say online. Sami Zayn's just still on his Rocky Balboa run, and that's fine. He's going to struggle, and he's going to win. That's kind of what this is right now. But honestly, for anyone who really thought Braun was going to win this particular match at this particular time, just take more than 3 seconds to think. Sami Zayn defeated Gunther
Gunter.
The Reign General, Gunter, who was the IC champ for 666 days. Do you not think maybe that diminishes Gunter's accomplishments a little bit? Just a little bit? For Sammy to lose after 3 months? Come on now. I get wanting Braun to win. He's going to have a great World Heavyweight Championship run in the future. He's going to be fine. I wouldn't worry about it. The women's ladder match might be my favorite match of the night. This match was insane. These ladies tore the fucking house down. Like crazy spot after crazy spot. You could really feel that they wanted to put on a banger ass show, and they delivered. But of course, I gotta shout out my girl Cha-Ching Chelsea. Listen, it was a long shot, but for a split second, they really had me going. They really made me think that Chelsea might win the Money in the Bank briefcase. Now, of course, I'm perfectly fine with Tiffy in the bank, right? Let me check my watch real quick. It's Tiffy time. But man, how great it would have been to see Chelsea win. But I thought she had some hilarious spots. And I mean, listen, people might not know, outside of WWE, Chelsea Green was a stunt performer. She was a stunt woman. So leave it to Chelsea to go out with a fucking bang, go from the ladder in the ring through the 2 tables outside. I mean, give her flowers now. Like I said on Instagram, Chelsea, you're our champion. Priest and Rollins, listen, they had a great match. They really had a great showing. And I'm going to say it right now. You're entitled to your opinion, but Damian Priest slander is not welcome here. I genuinely think he's had some really strong showings since he cashed in at WrestleMania. And keep in mind, it's been 3 months. Let the guy have a run before you criticize it. Let the run end before you criticize it. Now, I do believe that any quote-unquote botch that happened was not Damian Priest's fault. I don't think it was the ref's fault. I really think if something was to go wrong, I really think it was the music for Drew McIntyre coming in a bit late, because perhaps that was the cue Drew was waiting for to kick out. I don't know, but I will admit, getting that close to 3, Damian Priest did not kick out. Now, I have seen some people speculate that perhaps my man Damian Priest had his lights go out for a bit. Maybe he had his bell rung. Maybe he passed out for a second. I don't know, but I do acknowledge that he didn't kick out in a timely manner. But whatever the case, again, they're human beings. Sometimes things happen. But I do think that whatever happened did hurt the pacing of the match just a little bit, at least maybe the momentum, but nothing too crazy. I still enjoyed the match as a whole, and especially what happened next. Drew coming in and making it a triple threat match completely was not what I was expecting. I figured he would wait until one of them won, but for it to be a triple threat, I was fully okay with. And I do think, maybe I'm the odd man out here, but I think Punk costing Drew the title, or in this case, the contract again, was much more interesting of a choice, at least for their particular story, especially when you consider that now Rollins is involved in the mix. I also think that choice also adds to Priest's story, which is, in a nutshell, I can do this on my own, right? Because so far he's been trying to prove to both himself and the WWE universe that he loves Judgment Day, but doesn't need them, especially to be a champion. So I just think it was the stronger choice all around, especially to continue Damian's run going into SummerSlam. Because now, presumably, Priest is going to be outed from Judgment Day, regardless. That's what I think is going to happen. And he's got to deal with Gunter. Potentially on his own. So, we'll fucking see. Solo Sikoa pinning Cody Rhodes was absolutely the right call. I think it makes the Bloodline, this new version of the Bloodline, look like a genuine threat to SmackDown and to WWE as a whole. And personally, we say on the channel, Cody Rhodes is at his best when he's losing because we want him to win. The chase of winning is what makes him such a likable guy. I don't know. But anyway, excited to see where the story goes and when we see my man Roman back. All right, NXT HEATWAVE. Literally banger after banger
after banger after banger.
Obafemi and Wesley cooked, but god damn, Obafemi is a monster. Ooh, like a fucking beast, man. Seriously. And for being as young as he is, whew, I can't wait for him to eventually make it to the main roster. He's going to dominate. I'm going a little bit out of order here. Roxanne Perez and Lola Vice absolutely tore it down. They are just both absolute stars. And of course, I can't help but be proud to see these two Latinas in a championship match just absolutely killing it on such a grand stage. I'm just filled with pride. But seriously, I mean, I think both of them could, but definitely Roxanne Perez needs to be like the very next call up to the main roster, because god damn, that girl is great in the ring and knows how to tell a story. And she's got a great last name. Kalani Jordan and Sol Ruka also had an amazing showing. Just so much fun to watch and super impressive from both of them. No complaints. Axiom and Frazier against Chase U. Listen, that match was stressful. I was for sure that Chase U was going to take home the gold. Like, you couldn't tell me different, especially about halfway through the match. I'm like, every time there was a close call, I'm like, oh, this is Chase U. It's over. It's over. It's over. For Chase U to lose, holy shit. What a way to subvert my expectations, especially because I thought Raw got new tag champions, SmackDown got new tag champions, NXT is going to get new tag champions. Not so much. And the Fatal 4-Way was fucking insane. What a great match. Just like so many crazy things happening. Javon Evans, just, my God, what a talent. And I mean, all of these guys just showed up and showed the fuck out. They gave their best. So just shout outs to all 4 of these dudes. And to get a crazy ass ending, the Shawn Michaels John Cena ending to this match with Ethan Page winning the gold, and the Joe Hendry jump scare. What the fuck? I'm here for it, but like, oh my God, a crazy way to end after the crazy ending to the crazy match of the crazy night. Overall, a really fun time if you're a fan of one or more of these things we talked about. Thank you all for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you want to see more of. All right, catch y'all later.